Welcome back to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. As we were chit-chatting about in our previous episode, can you stand up for yourself without hurting another? Partner, friend, can you? Question mark. We can. Who's we? The 5D mystic here and anybody who's a 5D mindfully living and loving person. So we stand up for ourselves with love and integrity and without hurting another, but that doesn't mean that the unhealthy self-worth person doesn't have hurt feelings, FYI. Okay, and I was going to read to you a quote from our episode before, but I didn't get to it, so let me read it to you now. If you tuned into that one, I forgot to and got carried away with our conversation. Here's our Sadhguru. One moment, please, and then we'll continue chit-chatting. Become like the earth, like the tree, simply life. If you are simply life, your human consciousness will naturally find expression. Now, you'll be simply life, L-I-F-E, when you own, observe, witness, narrate your sense of self, your core self, your narrative, relational, and solo self. So it's once all your inner child parts are asleep and you are the eternal child and you are wanting to connect to that pure consciousness state. Some of you are mystics, some of you are not. Here's where I get to be the mentor for those of you who want mentorship, and you get to also be your own mentor, because that's the part about being mindfully aware, accountable, and regulating, and choosing that you're an eternal child who knows about pure consciousness and about our brothers and sisters all being stars. So we don't kick to the curb the orphans that want to continue with the unsafe nervous system stuff. We allow ourselves to be a community for the human love, and then in time our own earth will, it's already happening, so it's okay. The orphans, they are projecting what terror happened to them, and they are the ones who in fact don't really bother to notice it. So here's where, when I've had people that don't have their self-aware, accountable, regulating skills in the forefront, they don't want it. So they're not their own mother, they're not their own father. The part about being mother, father of yourself is because you're internally securely attached. It's the only way you're going to own that 0-1-year-old. So Maria can comfort Maria even when she's having a panic attack. Of course, I have a mother who taught me, gave me the capacity to be self-regulating, and then I have a twin. So let's remember, determined Robert Sapolsky. We all come from somewhere, so that is important, because your first 3 years of life, they're all implicit memory, and the 7th month and beyond of gestation in the belly begins to build implicit memory. So everyone can become their eternal child, but that's only if they choose to go from unkindness, shame, blame, fault, revenge, and very nightmarish stories to a therapist. And then once they're ready to add to their mindfulness practices, mindset practices, they've done EMDR, child parts work somatics, they've expanded their window of tolerance to a window welcome, and now we have an embodied brain. And so it's a brain, a mind, and your solo self, narrative, relational, and core self. You own them. And that means observe, witness, narrate by choice, and you self-attune and regulate in healthy ways, not by projecting unkindness. Okay, so instead, when we have those who are projecting, let me give you some stories. Number one, as I shared in the other one, you can stand up for yourself and with all of your might intend to not hurt another's feelings, but if you have another human being, that is where you have another human being. So Maria is flawed and imperfect, and that's all of us are. Not because I feel flawed or imperfect, no, because I'm going to be different than another person. And my mannerisms, whether they are of healthy self-worth or not, are not decent enough to be saluted, doesn't matter, because we have unhealthy self-worth boundary people who project their adaptive child parts. That's why I eat ego for breakfast as a feminine. Because anytime I got a masculine, distorted feminine, I got a child in the room and they're not this. What I got is this. Now that orphan, that part that they didn't welcome back home, now depends if they want to welcome their mother and father. Do they want to welcome an unconditionally loving parent, which would be this safe haven, secure base person right here? Do they want to welcome that I'm going to be the somatic empath who will open my arms and I will hug you, or not? If they don't, I got news for you. lots of funny stories. So here's where, oh, and no apologies. Yeah. So people don't, my facade friend, I didn't hear anything about those stories that I've told you about. The reason that the depths of the relationships continue for those of us who love, accept, and respect each other, again, we stand up for ourselves with love and integrity, and we're not going to hurt another person's feelings because I and you can be different, and I will not project upon you any of that taintedness that comes from my social background, my psychological background, my household background, which is why those toxic men, those toxic women, all of them, the toxic days that I see, yes, I know that they do not understand what it means to not cast a stone. It's not toxic because they're going to have to be somebody who's a Diego. No, all they have to do is give me a script. Now I know I got an adaptive child. Rigidity, unforgiveness, harshness, and the minute that you get in what is not a ventrovagal tone, because your social engagement, like that fancy woman, she doesn't know how to get into non-reactivity. That's why she feels imprisoned with it. So she knows how to be in her fight response self, which means I'm going to pick it up. Since teenagers mean nothing to a person like me, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's actually why with any person who gets in their little fight response, I got a 3-year-old with a broken heart. I got an orphan in the room. Again, I'm a feminine and I'm an eternal child and I'm aware of Maria, and I have no intention of using any of my time for a person who's not going to hear me like my facade friend showed me. So my facade friend, I love him to death. He didn't reclaim all his child parts. So when the depth of what I shared with him was completely obliterated, that's the minute of truth for me as a feminine who's smart. I just learned, like I did with any other person who lacks the capacity to take ownership of all their parts and uncharge them to do anything. I disregard it because I'm not going to talk about your adaptive child manners. You are in unbridled self-expression. Excuse me, you're confusing sciences and spirituality. You are in your ego. You are going to not be in any way, shape, or form having a good time. Okay, so when you meet them, you'll know. Like when you meet those who instead are eternal children. Now see, look at how my smile changes. Because they're the ones who welcome all of us. And those are the ones we want here. And then together we can have a good time. In the meantime, we don't need to worry about the orphans. They have options, and if they don't want therapy, again, they don't represent anything different than what our ancestors were, and what they will be is not something that is going to create some humongous, they don't create a humongous difference. They're perpetuating a maladaptive pattern of behavior. The ones who want to keep using Lucifer as that word, they ignore neuroscience and neurobiology, and they ignore that every person began life as a 1-year-old. So the part that I'll use one story, and then we'll move on to some other stories. And this one is, well, I'll just finish up with my facade friend. So my facade friend, I'm going to keep it brief because my regular listeners know about this story. I talked to him for 2 days where I tell him, because this is one of the many people who judge books by their cover, or who, based on their previous experiences with women, men, days, all of it, whatever shit took down, they decide to hone in on it. I now have what is a charge, and you're going to see the people who come in with that. They stand like they think they're righteously, and they're, how to explain it? Anytime I meet anyone who wants to stand like Braveheart, I know that they need a therapist to go and heal that trauma charge. So I'm just not going to bother with it. They're not standing up for anything except for whatever it is that happened to them, without caring to take their inner child to get healed. So they're not even caring about their health, which is why am I going to do anything? You're already distressed. You're already projecting. I mean, you represent nothing more than an immature, low emotional, mental, and physically intelligent human being in my face. And I don't have to do anything as a mystic or as a functional adult. Actively, I will have learned what parts of you decide to leave like that. So I'm going to learn everything that I am about you. You're not really going to learn much because you're not even, the capacity to be aware of what you're doing is not even in the forefront, because you don't care that you're hurting another person's feelings with your mannerisms. If you did, you wouldn't do it. So, being aware of one's own nervous system, Patrick Teahan makes it very aware, very clear as a childhood trauma survivor who's healing to his community, he still works to be and take ownership of that because he knows when it comes up, which is where I already knew that as a teenager. And I have confirmation as a grown up. And I'm not going to go telling a person about that which I perceive, because again, a feminine is smart. It's the other ones who are not. Oh, distorted feminines, they're not smart. They are squirrels from Cuscoland, and they switch and justify their mannerisms. Nobody needs to judge anyone's spiritual process, but nobody's doing their awakening in the full-fledged way, if you will. But then again, there's other soul age groups for reasons. That's where I have a lot of different subject matters. Again, remember, spirituality, sciences. So I know that every person is doing what they want to do. Karma, dharma. It's not going to change my life, and it won't break any balance because, again, God always wins. Dark matter, dark energy, meaning no one of us is going to make any dent anywhere. The only fools, quote unquote, are the ones who are not blind of faith, by the way, which is why anybody who thinks that there could be evil winning are the same ones who don't understand how life works, and that evil is not life. Oh, and that Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, shares with us what evil is. They all have trauma. They all end up in prison. They all are a sad story of that which we are looking to address, the ones of us who have compassion and who have knowledge and who are the highly emotionally, mentally, and physically intelligent people who in fact use our mouth and our ears and our minds and our voices and ourselves to come together with healthy self-worth, high emotional, mental, and physically intelligent people. That's why would I want to spend it with those who are not. That's not going to support the future. That's just going to perpetuate something like the Flat Earthers group. And anyway, so enough about teasing and back to the story. So my facade friend, love him to death. I am talking to him and he's quite aware of his asshole-ishness. Very selfish, self-centered. So all of his connections, they've always been, whatever I can get from you, I will get. And whatever is comfortable for me, I will be okay with. Which is why I was the only friend who was there when he was in the shithole. And again, as God taught me, and I didn't do it because I had to. I did it because it is the right thing to do to help a person. Plus, as my friend. Plus, I knew they have no one. And I knew as a person who was already with my clairs at that time that some shit went down big time. And I thank my friend because thanks to him, I didn't ever repeat the same mistake. It's not even a mistake. See, that's why we don't have mistakes, the ones of us who learn. Feminine always learn. All of my oversoul, they kept teaching me how to be Maria, more and more and more, and how to be that which brings to you pure consciousness. It's not hard to choose unconditional love because I give it to myself, I give it to you. So you don't hurt my feelings in a way of, oh my God, now I can't trust you. No, I learned that you're a flag in the wind. I learned what your orphan parts do and what you're going to do. And I just learned everything about you and your mask and whatever mask you've decided to put on me. That's all. Not big a deal. It's not a big deal to the ones of us who understand how we have a good time in here because you don't lose your sense of self when you own it. I don't lose Maria. Maria, she's never lost. In fact, I'm internally, my 0-1-year-old, she's securely attached thanks to my mother. I'm my own mentor. Jesus is my mentor. And God gave me very direct equations, not hard to follow. That's why once I got Claire's, I was like, yeah, it's my human makeup. It's not about, me being anointed or special. That was a different time. I don't use those words for a reason. They're egoic. Spiritual bypassers, go notice where they are. So with that being said, my facade friend judges books by their cover to this day, like any other human being who uses their own stuff. And they don't care if they hurt another person's feelings. If they disregard them, they will not notice it at all, which is proof from my friend and a bunch of more people that when it came to taking ownership of what they brought to me, I didn't take ownership at all. And I'll share that one story. I'm going to share this is a big one in our next episode. But my facade friend, he knows how I feel about what happened, and I just said, I ain't talking to you about my mystic stuff anymore because you didn't tell me you didn't believe in God or faith, and this is part of who I am, and I don't have to bring it to you. But the fact that I told you so many things, and here I find you again not being yourself, and that was when it dawned on me, he is being himself. And the attachment trauma information people let me know what people who have orphaned parts do. Adaptive child. So, I mean, yeah, I'm with you, but you're a Cusco. That's cool. I got a low self-esteem person that can, come in and out. I mean, it's again, it's a 16-year-old version of them. They just grow up and then they, because when you're using your body in the absence of becoming aware of your emotional, mental, and physical plane to the depths of you and healing those parts that are orphaned, you still have it inside. You're not handling it. But then again, the good therapist and Robert Sapolsky, as he says, science without free will, so everybody will get to wherever they want to get. In the meantime, here, it's if you want to get to more and to the depths of you. I'm here for the ones who definitely want that mentorship of pure consciousness, unconditional love. It's not hard, but you're the one who chooses if you're a star baby, and all other babies are star babies. So whether they want that unconditionally loving mother or father, or they want to keep their orphanhood, we don't have to tell them anything, because as long as they follow the laws, we don't need to be reactive. And actually, the part about being able to stand up for yourself with love and integrity, you choose that for you. I chose that because I said yes to the Holy Spirit and Jesus. I keep my promises. And then when I saw the monsters with the cloaks, as I got older, I said, hey, God, they're monsters. They got cloaks and they protect people who hurt people. And toxic masculines, men and women, come out of those places, by the way. So I have nothing to say except for it's a great disappointment to see that they don't address the therapy setting at all. In fact, they go and tell people not to go and get like they're against decentralization. I heard someone who is part of the community that they don't support you decentralizing. So they obviously didn't learn about neuroscience, neurobiology, or they're looking at it with eyes that are so tainted that they don't know that the bodies of every person and the brain is looking to return home to their birthright, which is heaven in the body. Either or, they support what is suffering. They support not healing your trauma. They support half-assed people. That's not Lucifer. It's human beings who have cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation, lack mental intelligence, as well as emotional clarity. It's not conspiracy. They're actively not smart human beings. This is how I'm going to break it down, because I don't need to offend someone. The minute that I present you 30 plus years of research and you are going against every little bit of it, I mean, if you want a narrative, 4D loves narratives. I don't have a narrative because, I like academia. And when I look outside, there's one thing that I noticed about people. It's like, well, they were smart. They wouldn't be so oblivious about themselves, would they now? But then again, now I know why. Long story short, don't worry, people. The future is looking bright. It doesn't seem so, but the 5D mystic here and anybody who is in our plane, they know it's all good. So in the meantime, you get to choose. Do you want to be yourself with love and integrity? If you do, come on back over. But it is about unconditionally loving and leaving alone the facades. So again, I don't have people that I think of as evil, Knievel, medieval. I don't find men safe. That's why I have the ones that I trust. And I don't find women safe or they safe. I don't find the world safe. It would be ridiculous. I could get an asteroid hit up. The roof hit me right now. Point is, human beings, as long as I got orphaned people out there and fancy women and men in suit, they're orphans and they're spitting out vengeance from their mouth. They just make it look like it's not vengeance and that they're doing a good thing for humanity. So as long as we have people like that, I know exactly where we are at in the safety stuff. So we get to hang out with those of us who are over here, do our best to keep ourselves protected from those of them over there. And then we keep chucking along as humanity consistently has evolved. And, we evolved to become more conscious. So don't worry. We'll get there. So again, please join us if you are a person who does. I love to love. And my baby, he loves to laugh and he loves to live and he loves to learn and he loves to expand and he loves to not cast stones. So he won't project and go around hurting people. No, he won't, because he'll be self-aware, accountable, regulating. They will, and that's the minute of I don't cast a stone in anyone's shoes. So the people who are unkind, there's an answer. They lack bilateral integration. They lack wholeness. They lack complete self. I don't need to do anything about a person who's hurt. I won't even say, I'm so sorry you're hurt. That's disrespectful too. I'm going to leave it alone because I don't have to say anything. I am informed attachment, trauma, and I'm aware I don't want to be that person because I'm not a martyr. I'm not superior. I'm not bigger than you, meaning knowing more. No, I'm a person who has data points, knowledge from smart human beings who have informed me of what biologically rude means, and which is why you don't hear me even if I speak. My facade friend is the perfect example. That's what a biologically rude person talking over me, not actually remembering how much we talked, and then it's Maria, she's just making a big deal. I'm not making a big deal. It's Maria, it's something important to Maria. If you're empowered and you don't got parts that you disown, you're going to know that. You know why? Because you're not going to cast a stone and say, oh, she's making a big deal out of nothing. That's your own subjective opinion, which makes me aware that you're not living a life of true spirituality. Not my friend. Again, he isn't. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in mysticism. He doesn't. So some people, they don't want this life. Is what I'm trying to also let you all understand. Not everybody wants to be here. They don't have to be here. They lack the desire. It's explainable to why, but at the same time, it's none of our business if somebody wants to stay lost boys, Peter Pans, lost girls, and continue with what our ancestors did, because it's in their body, not ours. And their mannerisms are accessibly handleable as long as they remain within those, physical is what you want to be aware of. And for physical, you call the cops. You set up yourself so that you may physically be safe. This is the one thing, but there's no need to shout at each other and have, so the bear and the man trending topic, find it futile and necessary. That's not the way to go about things, in my personal opinion. But again, there's a voice for every group, and therefore, some groups, they do stuff like that. We'll be back again in a little bit. Like, share, and subscribe, please. It helps our channel grow. And obviously, if you know people who do love to love, I love to love. And my baby, he loves to laugh, and he loves to learn, and he loves to expand and not cast stones. Send them over. They, she's, all of it. Send them over for sure. Mystics, come on, let's have some good time. Anima Mundi, it's really fun. Okay, so we'll be back in a little bit.